They divide us, commercialize us,
crazy.
tons of
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm 100% with you.
But when is it gonna stop? When is it?
Right.
When is it gonna be the way you're saying it, and the way, let's say, I have some Christian friends and family that think the same way, but believing in Jesus. So they're wonderful people.
Absolutely. I've got
They
some of my best
yeah,
friends are Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when is it gonna be? Never.
Well, hang on. So do you believe in a concept? Because this is what was going through my head. The same thing that you're telling me. I'm seeing all this hurt and pain in the world.
Yeah.
And then what I did is I
Where
I started associating that hurt and pain with there must not be a God because all this exists.
True. That's another thing. That's a very good point.
So let me take it step by step. We can table that one. But let me bring it back to your question of when is this supposed to all be over? What's the result? And how do we get it to a good spot?
I mean, you can't answer that question because it's
Well,
not going to happen.
Let's look. Do you believe in a concept of justice?
Of course.
Me too. Okay, so I believe that if there is a creator, he must have that justice within him. Okay, now hang on and just bear with me here really quickly. When, let's say there's 3 people here, okay? I'll be the bad guy, you could be the good person. And there's a person that's being oppressed.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm the one doing the oppression. You have the ability to stop it and get a good deed. And this person has the ability of a better life. And then everything would be balanced. I wouldn't be as oppressive. Perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, I believe that God creates scenarios in this world where people can stand up for justice.
Yep.
Okay?
So, I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah. And very, very briefly, people are not doing a good enough job of standing up for the justice because people are the ones that are committing the oppression. So it's not God doing the oppression. I believe that God created a balanced world, and then eventually it went into disbalance based on people's actions, on how they conducted towards nature, how they conducted to the planet, how they conducted to themselves, how they conducted to others, for the purposes of greed, power acquisition, whatever, right? So now he gives us tools and he gave us guidance on how to bring the balance.
And it's our choice.
It's our choice to follow that prescription. Certain things we may not agree with. Like, for example, I used to smoke a ton of weed. I love weed.
I've never tried weed.
Okay, don't do it. It's terrible. Don't do it. Right? I'm on the other side of the coin now. So what I'm saying is, I was thinking to myself, just do unto others as I want done unto myself. Karma, it'll come back, right? All this stuff. But as a lifestyle, as a comprehensive lifestyle to the greater society, I can't apply that same rule. So what I started witnessing is, hey, there's murderers out there. They get a huge jolt of dopamine and they love murdering people.
Yeah.
So therefore, if they want others to be done like they do unto others, there's just being a bunch of murderers running around and we're all screwed, right? So we can't follow that philosophy. So when I started doing cross-comparative religion, and I started looking from atheistic point of view, Christian, Buddhist, Islam, Islam was the one that was the most reasonable to me. So I had to use my logical faculties, my critical thinking, and I had to set aside my ego on certain things. Like, for example, if something was prescribed for me not to do it, I had to set aside my ego and not do it, not only for my own benefit, for the benefit of society.
So you think that Islam is
I think it brings the most compelling argument. Yeah, the most compelling and reasonable and attainable argument is within this book.
But don't you think you're a little biased because you come
How?
from a Muslim country?
So?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, no. So my bias, I'll acknowledge the bias. Yeah. But remember, I was an atheist.
Yeah.
So I literally went through almost like a rinsing and a washing process where I was like, no, you guys are all brainwashed, right? And then what I started realizing is I was following my own internal desires. Meaning, if I wanted to go get high, I'd go get high. If I wanted to go party, I'd go party. If I wanted to go do this, I would go do that.
The only difference is that I don't think people are brainwashed.
Okay.
I think people lack of a better word, use or follow religion, whatever religion it is, whatever belief it is, because life is so hard, and they
Absolutely.
have to believe in something, they have to pray to something, they have to worship
Absolutely.
something to make life easier.
Absolutely.
Because
I agree
life
with you.
is very hard.
100% I agree
Yeah.
with you. 100%.
So
So if I don't worship something that is of benefit to me, like let's say, for example, if I worship my own desires,
Yeah.
which I did, right? I would say, you know what, I'm having a really tough day. I'll just pop back a beer, chill out,
Yeah.
watch some movies, stuff like that, right? But then I was paying disrespect to my internal organs,
right,
to
yeah,
my
it's-
sanity and
it's
so
your
on.
choice.
It's my choice, right?
It's
So now I have to look and say, is there anything out there that can give me a sense of relief without being damaging to others or myself? And what I found was prayer, right? But remember, when I started, I was like, dude, I'm gonna pray once a month.
Mhm.
And then it went to once a week. And then
Yeah.
it went to blah,
Because-
blah, 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 blah.
because, what's the word? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually,
Mhm.
it was saving you.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, I understand that.
Right.
I understand. That's why I don't think people are brainwashed. My mother-in-law is not racist, but she is such a believer. She's a Christian.
Okay,
And I mean, nothing you can tell her will change her mind.
okay.
Yeah. So,
So-
I know she lost her husband when she was very young.
Very sorry to hear that.
And she had to raise her kids alone
Okay.
in a foreign country. They're from Iran. And so, and my husband's, they're also Syrian. They're not Muslims. They're
Okay.
just like me. So this was her way of dealing with it.
Okay.
Because she wasn't as religious, but as soon as that happened, and I respect that. Go for it, do it, because I want people to be happy. Whatever they are doing, as long as they're not killing each other, hurting each other, and doing injustice.
Yeah, especially
Whether
for her.
it's this, whether it's Christianity.
She suffered a major trauma, right?
Yeah.
And her trauma led to introspection. So like she started looking within herself,
Yeah.
right?
But I also think that that's a very good way out, and saying, okay, I did this, but it's okay because God told me to do it. I mean, you can justify anything and everything this way, and people do that. They misuse it. That's the problem.
Wars we went through countless wars because God said so,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, so
That's my problem with it. Yeah, you believe, wonderful. I respect. I love it. But so, if there's a difficulty in your life, instead of making steps to solve the problem, you sit there and pray and think God is going to help you out.
it's not simply like that in Islam. So we can't just sit there, throw our hands up in the air and say, God solved this issue.
Yeah.
So in Islam, God tells us, I've given you tools to solve your own issues. And then what you're supposed to do is put in your best effort, but in recognizing that He's the ultimate mover.
Right.
So have you ever heard of the phrase, when one commits, providence moves?
No.
Okay. So basically what it means is if, like, let's say, for example, you were interested in something like becoming an entrepreneur or something to that extent, you actually have to conduct those actions. Then providence will move in a sense where doors will start opening up for you. So your own efforts are being acknowledged, right? So in Islam, I can't just sit there by the wayside and think to myself, I'm going to pray 20 times a day and I'm going to become a millionaire. Those things just don't connect at all, right? What you will do is you'll gain richness and introspection and faith and all that stuff, right? But like I said, back to the middle ground, you can't sit there and just perpetually be praying and praying and praying. You'll go insane.
You studied all that. The
Right.
average Muslim doesn't study.
Correct.
They don't read Quran. They just hear what their parents.
Correct.
So I wish everyone was like that. We would have lived in a wonderful world, or
So you know what's
better
interesting?
world.
A better world, right?
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting.
and I wish Christians Christians took what is in the Bible and followed
Yeah.
it, but they don't. They
Right.
misuse it.
They misuse it.
So here
So-
they misuse it, there they misuse it.
Here's the irony. What you just said is exactly as what's in the Quran.
I know.
When He
right.
says, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq," right? Read, learn, recite, educate yourself. Don't just follow what your
You
parents.
educate yourself.
Okay, right.
At Afghanistan.
So-
they just stopped. They just banned girls from going to school.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. If this book is telling me, don't just believe what you hear, don't just follow what your forefathers said or what they did, go out and learn and then challenge yourself and challenge this book. And now you're telling me, I wish more people were like you. And to me, I really appreciate you saying that, because all of the dedication that I've put in here, those words are a reward to me. It paid off, right? So now what you're telling me is that if they followed this to read, challenge, and educate themselves, the world would be a better
So
place.
that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay, can you stop every man and talk to them, please?
I would.
I am wasting your time.
No, you're not. You are a beautiful person and a genuine soul, and I am glad that we crossed paths.
Yes,
There was a
and-
reason. There was a reason why Providence put us together here.
Probably.
I think it's assuredly. I don't think it's probably. I really think it's assuredly. And it's our job to just kind of deliver the message.
Yeah.
It's ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's job to provide the guidance.
Yeah.
So inshallah, I have delivered the message to you, and I really hope that at least I spark your curiosity, because
I read the Professor of Quran, and I didn't read Quran, but I looked through it. I was just interested.
may I please just give you a free copy?
Have it.
I want to give you one from my hand, please.
No.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Well,
Because I know I'm not going to read it, and you're going to waste
why?
it.
Why?
Because
See, that's the thing. When I was in your position,
yeah.
and I had to, for me, it was like a faucet that was clogged. And once I lifted the clog, I could never go back.
See, I follow all the steps in both Bible and Quran.
Okay.
I don't steal. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. I'm a good friend. I do everything right.
Yes.
I don't hurt anyone more than that. I hurt
Absolutely.
people. So what's the point?
So here's
I
the
already
point.
follow everything.
The point is that we still have to come
And
to
I
the
can do it without.
we still have to come to the basic question of, do you believe in the existence of a God or not? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that there will be people that will arrive on the day of judgment. This isn't to strike fear into you. Remember, it's a conversation that he's having with you.
Yeah.
Right? So he's just saying, hey, listen. And if you want to heed it, cool. If you don't, cool.
Yeah.
Right? So he's saying that they will do all these wonderful things, but they didn't believe in me. So what does he actually mean by that? Right? So to me, what that means is you're not attributing all the bounties and the beauties and the good deeds that you've done in your life to that source. So what that means, like for example, when I say, Alhamdulillah for this meeting, I didn't bring you here. You were just walking on your own.
Because I knew there would be something like this here.
Right, right.
And I had to.
And look,
say
we
something.
started off almost as enemies.
Yeah.
But now that
No, I mean,
we've,
I wasn't it.
well, you know what I mean. We were at yeah, what the heck, man?
I
Yeah.
was aggressive, but
So, no, you weren't. You had a position and you were passionate about your position. I
I
didn't.
still am. I still think that it shouldn't,
Mhm.
but I understand why.
Yeah,
But I don't agree with it.
right.
We agree to disagree.
Well,
Respect your
yeah,
position.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just have
I
to.
I have a beautiful daughter. I mean, if I show you a picture, she's gorgeous.
Alhamdulillah.
I will never let her wear that.
Why not let her read and find out? Remember, do not follow what your forefathers, right? So you are instilling onto her your belief.
No, if she ever grows up and decides to do it, go for it.
Well, hang on. So then you have to retract your statement. You can't say, I will never let her, because
I
now
will
you,
never let her while she's growing up. When she's an adult, I can't really force her. I
Right.
cannot,
which is fair,
influence her. Yeah.
right? Which is fair. Now you can
We're having an interesting conversation.
Join us if you wish.
Coworkers.
She looks like one of my sister's friends, I swear. I know, no joke, she really does.
What is that?
She looks like one of my sister's friends, like has like the same facial profile and everything. It's kind of,
Ruba is from Palestine.
oh really? So my point is, the reason why I hold this as that authority is because I believe in the existence of a creator. And if this is from the creator, then that means this is the ultimate authority. That's all. So we have to figure out whether or not you actually really do or do not
We're
believe.
getting like into very deep because I will say, what is authority? I don't have any authority, and we can go on and on and on.
Okay.
But
When I say authority, I mean someone that's going to provide guidance or someone that's going to be of a benefit to you, not someone that's going to be like an oppressor or something like that. Like, for example, you can have a positive authority and a negative authority, right?
right.
So I believe that God is good.
I grew up without religion, and I turned out to be good. My sister is wonderful. My parents are amazing, and they've been treated horribly in this country,
Right.
And still are. And
So I'm not saying that you're a bad person or
no,
not.
I'm saying that I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I was able to build a good life without this.
Okay. So I'm saying that I was also able to build a good life without it. No, without it.
this.
But then when I found this, I had a better life. So I use it as a form of enhancement rather than like,
Now I understand.
you know what I'm saying? So I didn't close the door. I opened up so like a whole nother,
That's very good.
right? So now, but I have to prove to myself and to anyone that I speak to if this is actually real. So like, for example, if we don't believe in the fundamental principle that God exists, then all this is for naught. All of this is just a waste, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, why do you believe that he doesn't exist? And then I'm happy to share with you as to why I believe that he does exist, right? But first I want to know from your point of view to see if it matched mine when I was an atheist.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna leave because I'm
Okay.
on my
I respect
break
that.
and I have to go back to work.
Okay, I respect it.
Why don't I believe? Because there's so many injustices. There's so much pain.
Okay.
I've gone through a lot of things. My parents, and I don't understand why. We're good people.
Okay.
We help. My parents they have done so much for their community, and they've been so hurt.
Okay.
Why?
So can I just take a look at that point real quick, right? Very briefly.
I have to go.
This is what's called a subjective emotional experience, and you are eliminating all objectivity to there being a God. That's fine. That's fine. So I don't deny that there's cancer in kids. I don't deny that there's pain in the world. I don't deny that there's death, okay? But none of that equates to there is no God. You can say that God is cruel. You can say that God is this, God is that. But
Yeah.
you understand what I'm
Yes,
getting at?
yes.
I'm saying that you can say, I think God is cruel, so therefore da 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 da. But if he exists is a whole nother question, right?
Yeah.
So what I really encourage you to do, just to be respectful of your time, is when you reflect internally, right? Because we believe in a natural fitra, right? That people are, if you ask a child, hey, does God exist? They'll be like, well, I know I came from somewhere. Where did that come? Blah, 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 right? Da, 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 da. Like you throw an object over their head, they start looking like, where'd they go, right? So I encourage you that when you reflect internally, that you find just an objective reason as to whether or not he exists or he doesn't. And what I can tell you from my experience, after objectively looking at it, I could not find an objective reason. All of my reasons were subjective and emotional, and I was translating that to God doesn't exist. That's all.
Okay, that's a very good thing to think about
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Because it's just interesting from the point of view, like you said, when you look at all religions,
Yeah.
all options that
Yeah.
are out there, I'm interested to know why you came to this.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
husband knows
Yeah.
Quran really well, so
Alhamdulillah.
I'm gonna talk to him tonight. and
Talk to him.
see-
You know what? Would you mind? I'm happy to give you my number. I would love to connect with him. Are you sure?
He won't, yeah. With all due respect,
He might
it's
be able
not-
to teach me something.
With all due respect, no, he will not. He will not.
Okay.
But
All right.
thank you
So I
much.
try to make it here every Saturday from 11 to 3.
Okay. So I'm
Please
gonna-
stay in
if
touch.
if I'm
Please.
Here, I'm gonna come
Yeah.
and say hi.
Thank you for dedicating your time.
What's your
And
name?
my name is Morris.
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 I'm Nina. Nice to
Nina.
meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to
Thank
meet
you
you.
so much for talking to me. I'm
It was a
gonna let
pleasure.
you Talk to other people.
It was a pleasure.
And hopefully you can instill something good.
All right. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.